My life up until this point has involved a tremendous amount of change. I have been on an intense journey searching for a life that is truly meaningful. Something integral had been missing since I grew out of childhood. I felt alienated from what was supposed to be my life and had a very strong will to seek out what I had lost, to find the home I felt was missing, and to become the person I desperately longed to be. I struggled with myself and with the world for 15 years, but I now find myself in a place I have been looking for a long time. Not a physical place, but an internal place, one where I feel I belong completely. It was a long journey to get here, and though I'm only going to share with you the last chapter of the story, I hope it inspires something within you. 2022 really shook things up for me, but through embracing the shifts as they came, I was able to direct my life closer to something that feels like home inside my soul. At the beginning of the year, I was living with a guy I had known and loved for a very long time. I had found myself in a reality I really thought was the one I had been looking for, but something was very wrong. I was failing my deepest and highest self, and I knew once again it was time to make a decision. Abandon myself, or abandon my partner, my home, and a life I had grown to love.
Stuck in the same cycle of just expecting something different to happen every single time and not realizing that this cycle is what's keeping me from moving towards what I desperately want for my life.
I had a lot of things to figure out, but first I had to decide how to move forward. What did I want my life to look like? How could it happen? And who was I, truly? I had been trying desperately for the last 6 years to sift through this stuff, but I finally felt something so huge and so real growing inside the very core of my being. It was impossible to ignore. I started to become aware of the wisdom of the stars. The more I learned about the skies, the more I learned about myself and felt like I was a part of something bigger. I wanted to understand myself, to love myself, and to align myself to the highest good. I gave space, I gave clarity, I received counsel, and I searched deep within my heart to find my true calling. As I separated myself from the situation, I gained a higher perspective. I was filled with awe and admiration for the person I used to be and had now become, and was committed without doubt to myself and to something much, much greater. It was clear that the relationship was moving backwards, and I felt I was being propelled forward.
Over the last couple months, I decided that I was going to give the relationship a certain amount of time. By the end of April, I needed to know whether or not I was going to stay in the relationship.
There was pain in surrendering a life and a love I had worked very hard for, but when we allow any kind of death to happen in our lives for the sake of the greater and higher good, it is swiftly followed by a rush of new life. My being is calling out for rebirth. The old has gone away and the new is here. It's time to let go of all I no longer need.
This isn't me, and this is not jiving good with my soul, so I need to take that, let it go, and make space for what I need in my life to move me forward, to help me to grow, to help me to become what I need to be. So
I moved in with my dad into the house I had spent most of my childhood. It was like coming back home to a piece of myself I had left behind when I moved out west 10 years ago. I had the greatest pleasure of hanging out around all of my favorite places, revisiting something deep within me. I'll be honest here, I had not been emotionally detached from another person in 15 years. I knew I had to be careful. Not only did I want my heart to be whole on its own, but I wanted to be sure that the next time I allowed someone in, this person would desire to know me truly and would return to me all the love I knew I was capable of giving. I had met a few people, but I was very clear with where I was at. I really wanted to make sure I wasn't jumping into anything. Being single is unknown territory for me, but I'm stable on one side, curious and brave on the other, and my mind is alert to it all.
I have one already.
I needed time and space to watch myself and to connect with the core of who I was. I had a thought which turned into desire, followed by an action that led me to the east. I ventured out into the unknown and surrounded myself with the beauty that has inspired me and brought me inner connection since I was a little girl. I keep reaching for connection, but I need to be totally okay on my own, with myself and no one to lean on, before I'm ready for the relationship and the life I so deeply long for. I was out on the road with no plan for nearly 3 weeks, and though it was a beautiful adventure, it was very lonely. I had no one to love and no place to call my own when I returned. On the last night of the trip, my original plans had fallen through. I found a last-minute campsite, and as I was setting up for the night, I had some pretty extreme emotions swirling around inside me. Years and years of loneliness were released as I laid under the stars and found that my home was within. I met Dalen in May. I'll save the story for another time, but truthfully, we became great friends and were open and honest with each other right from day one. Over the passing months, we knew we had a very unique connection, and as we allowed the flame to grow between us, we fell in love. It took my heart a lot longer to trust and to feel than I thought it would, but when I did, all I ever dreamed I could give and be given, all I ever dreamed of becoming, all I had ever dreamed of love was suddenly in reach with a clarity I had never seen through before. I was only living with my dad for the summer, and I believed that if I was open and listened to my intuition, I would know where and when to move. I don't know what I'm doing, but when I know, which I know that I will know when I need to know, I'm sure it will be exciting news. I wanted to move to a place that was in line with my lifestyle, and I wasn't stoked about living in Toronto where Dalen was going to school. I looked all over southern Ontario for something pretty specific and came across a tiny town I had never heard of before. I knew in my heart this was my new home, for now. I had no doubts, I had no fears. I was no stranger to new beginnings, and I was beyond excited for this new adventure. Gosh, I just keep making choices in my life that are directing me down the path that I believe I'm meant to go. And in those moments, life was not very good, and I had to make a choice that I was going to leave that behind and move on to something better. And then I had to do it again and again and again and again until I finally feel at peace with where I am, and I don't feel like I need to let anything else go. I'm so happy with who I am, with what I have, with the people in my life. I feel like I've spent my entire life up until this point building who I am and developing my character and developing my skills and figuring out what I really want to do and what I'm good at and what I'm passionate about. And now that I have all of this foundation of life, I can't wait to start building on it and to start creating the things that I feel like I am called to create. My mind, my sense of self, and my daily life had undergone a major shift. I felt as if I had opened up entirely to a brand new world. Not only had I experienced radical change in my personal life, but my heart had also found something real that it could surrender to and grow within. The sun and moon are rising and falling continuously over the new earth of my soul. I am shifting, growing, transforming into something new, and the sun and moon are encircling me as I solidify and become fertile with new growth. The sun, he warms me. He fills me with trust, confidence, courage, and life. The moon reveals what is hidden within me. She gifts me with potential and ushers me towards the sun once again so he can bring that potential to light and to life. On they go, infusing me with their endless love and truth, forming me into a most beautiful and fruitful earth. I've had my share of inevitable stress since moving, but any momentary doubts or fears are overpowered by a trust in the path that I'm on. I wish I could tell you how I have so deep a trust, but the truth is, it is a knowing that cannot be put into words. All I can say is that I have known many experiences, many relationships, many different lives, and many different forms of myself. And I feel that this life, this experience, this relationship, and this self are far greater than any before them.
Now that I'm here, I feel so peaceful. I just feel like the birth of something is about to happen, and I'm just can't wait to see what comes out of me and out of my life here. So, yeah.
The year started with an absolute commitment to my current reality, but as my commitment shifted to something much greater, I knew I had to let go of that life in order to receive what I knew to be the thing I had always longed for. To be a person of real character, able to carry out a life that is full of all the most beautiful and meaningful things. I carefully spent the cycles of this year releasing what was no longer needed and embracing what was essential. I intentionally directed myself and my life towards the highest goal I could possibly attain, and now I find myself here, at the threshold of my greatest desires.